The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone. He can't be more than the other one looks indistinguishable from him. He watches his brother kick the stone with his tongue lolling out of his... The kids don't reply, absorbed in their little game. The stone-kicking one becomes frantic all of a sudden, as if that's something to be scared of.
He looks just like me.
The boy doesn't answer. His brother throws another rock. Both of them...
You're bad with kids. Don't worry, everyone is. How about we do some police work now? We're not getting anything here.
Hello, mister.
She clutches a small stuffed animal. Occasionally, she twirls it around.
Oh, I had gloves. Very big ones.
Where did you get these gloves?
Found them when Lemmy and I were playing hide and seek. In an empty house.
She doesn't want you to think she stole them.
I hid them. The twins were going to take them. They're stupid.
We're going to need those gloves. It's for important police business.
Oh. They're in my sandcastle. Behind our house. Under the sand. You can break the castle. My mom's outside. And I don't really know about my dad. Yes. They don't want to play with me. They're older and play outside. They look the same. Sometimes I can't tell them apart. They look identical. It's a grouse.
Wasn't Garth, the cafeteria manager, trying to repair a piece of taxidermy?
I don't know. Sure. Just go and get it.
All right. You just need to grab it from the ceiling and go.
It's Lammy. He's my friend. Sort of. Like...
Lambie is a stuffed lamb that, admittedly, has seen better days. One of the eye buttons is missing, and the fur is tapped.
Yes. Very soft. Isn't he soft? Bye!
Weather has not been kind to Lily's little sandcastle. The once mighty towers are quickly eroding away.
The little castle? The reigning lord must have come upon some really tough times to let it sleep in such decrepitude.
The walls and floors give way to the giant's greed, collapse and present you with a pit.
Congratulations. That's the gauntlets down then.
You're not sure about the melody, but it might be South Samaran, possibly Sigayan.
Welcome to the fishing village. Please lean in closer.
Then how does she know you're here?
I still have a golden ear. Come, come. Oh, welcome, police officer. We don't cause any trouble around here.
We are not here to cause any trouble, madame.
Oh, of course. Last time we saw you around here was... 12 years ago. You also came to take care of trouble then. Wish you did. But still, in Martinez, look, oh, the usual. Dark tidings. Black Hound.
You're not. No one around here considers us an ill omen.
Maybe they are afraid. Because you're an ill omen. But you're still welcome here. As long as men with guns aren't chasing you. And maybe even then. I'm sorry there's not a lot of room to park the motor carriage. And not a lot of houses. Or a lot of people. Ah, look at me ramble on. What brings you to stay? Most people here are trying to leave. That said, if lodgings is what you're looking for, I've got a free room in the shack. I won't charge you for it. Take it as a gesture of goodwill from the village to the RCM. No one is using it, and God knows it's not much anyway. You can stay there. Don't make an old woman regret opening her house to the police.
Well, if you are not in the hostel in the morning, I'll know where to find you. Here, in a shack.
Just us. It's barely a village anymore. We almost don't exist. This is pretty much a non-place. A gap. A blank spot on the map. Just a cluster of names.
The place is so pornographically poor, it's not even funny.
Well, there's Lillian and her kids. A few new folks live in the house to the east. But they are away. And then there's the drunks. Not a pretty sight, but there's little we can do about it. Home is home. Sooner or later, you'll see for yourself. Don't have to look long to find these guys. Over there, you can find more of the same. Shacks and trees growing wild. That's the Pox, an old military hospital and its surroundings. Or it used to be. During the time of after the war, it was turned into a goodwill hospital for shell-shock veterans and folks. Now the area is crisscrossed with nameless streets and makeshift cinder block houses. The goodwill ran out. The staff left and the place was shut down. It's long gone by now. The lack of wealth is the one thing we've got in abundance.
Riddles. Fits with the general ambiance here.
Aye. Sometimes it's as though I'm also gotten lost inside this nameless nothing. Oh, it seems to be a common theme these days. Isn't that what people always think when they are lost? Something I can do for you to find your way, officer? Here, for you? No, officer. The only money we have here is some coins the drunks tried hiding from.
Under carts, boats, in little boxes. It's not hard to find. She nods, rinsing another piece of cloth.
Not much. There's the abandoned church, the DeLorean Church of Humanity. It's been there since. Some things just don't fly, officer. Look around. Who'd go to church here? They built it 300 years ago.
So, they don't hold services there anymore?
No, we've tried, but things just keep happening. Crime, accidents, other things. The place never stays open. Before you get to the church, there's some ruins, an apartment complex, or some kind of electrical plant. I don't know exactly. A pre-war place. It used to be something. Before the war. I wasn't here then, you know. Of note, the old fish market up on the boardwalk. But it's closed. What? You're one of those real estate people with big plans? If you want a development, used to be a supply depot, we think, sending goods and ammo across the bay. It's jammed shut though.
Nothing is impossible.
And now you know everything there is to know about this coast. Me? No one. Just an old washerwoman. Mother called me Isabel, if that's what you're asking. Now it's your turn, Mr. Quite a handle you got there. So many titles. One of them double. Eh? What's this about? Come now, I can't read all this scribble. Tell me what it says. Huh. I might be half blind, but it looks like part of the village is gonna be a street. The best part, have you asked Lillian about this? I won't even consider signing till I know she's on board. She's right over there, the dark-haired woman, leaning over the railing. Yes, you do that. Can't let fat Mr. Clare down now.
She is not impressed by a cop running errands for a local bigwig. Not at all. A drop in temperature, an easy flow of air, an empty street. Before you, a thoroughfare unjammed with lorries. No more drivers smoking. Chemically sweetened. Across the road, a forgotten bus stop. Corrosion has opened a hole in its roof. An elm. The road is smooth and motley. Craters filled with a black asphalt. The asphalt, first laid, is grey already. A tub warm with water, white with soap. A man bathes while radio waves transmit the lottery numbers. 4, 8, number 312D. Young girls used to come here, huddled up, hoping for more warmth than their thin coats give them. The bus took them to school. Craters pocked the surface. Children played in them until heavy trucks full of black pitch rolled in. The landowners have filled the craters with money. It is a vital There's one bump on the road. A dead dog lies flat about 200 paces away. Tragedy comes from the wheels of a fast RCM vehicle hurrying to work. The wind moves the aerosol. A detective stands behind the boom barrier.
Hello, I'm Gary. How do you do, officer? Yellow man. I mean, officer.
The lieutenant raises his eyebrows slightly. And yellow man, interesting. This is something to ask him about.
I'm just waiting for my friend Morel to finish up with his insect traps so we can return to civilization. I like nature, just not this bloody coast. It's mostly drunks and
Degenerates. This man respects authority too much. To see the truth inscribed upon thine own visage. Pretend thou art a paragon of virtue.
Oh, I've been tempted. But someone has to stay strong for Revocol.
He pronounces Revocol with a hard K, unlike.
I like to pronounce it the hard way. The old way.
It's a secret rite. A very fringe nationalist handshake. Garbage. You're a true patriot, and you know how it's said. The Seren way. The fine way. With an elegant
Oh, so that's what the RCM in Martinez is about. Great. Great to hear someone's finally taking care of that.
So you do know something about it?
No. Nothing. He was some kind of mercenary. But everyone here knows that. I'm just glad to...
He didn't kill him or anything, but there's something going on here.
My mug? Why would you think that? Really? I hear it all the time. All in jest, of course. No offense meant to anyone. Okay, I admit it. I threw the mug away in the trash container behind the hostel. You're not going to find me, are you? Okay, I deserve that. And I won't do it again. I don't know what got into me. Stuffing my garbage in another man's property, I've been having trouble at work lately.
What did you do, Gary?
Nothing. Just answering some questions. Helping out the law. I know a guy who works with the trash collection services. CS Municipal. He gave me a master key for the trash containers of Martinez, so I can use the Whirling's trash compactor to store my own stuff. Garbage disposal is expensive as hell. The damn Hemians run it like a mob. I'm sorry, okay? I thought I could cut costs. I shouldn't have.
Disgraced. No need for the histrionic, sir. It was, after all, just a trash container.
He studies his reaction. Gary doesn't answer.
Officer, please. Let me explain. It's not like that. I was only cleaning up. I live right across the yard from where he was hanged, and I saw him stripped naked. All the clothes lying around in the yard, smelling. Then I came out to clean up the rags because no one else would. I put them into the Whirling's trash, along with a broken mug. Okay. I was coming to throw the mug away, and, well...
Right. It was just civic duty.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
As he shifts uncomfortably, a series of clicks, like the clinking of glass beads against one another as they roll across a hardwood floor.
What sound? Really? There's lots of weird stuff out here in the reeds, though. Insects, trash. Could be the wind shifting some garbage nearby. Armor? No. I mean, yes. Of course. I know he was wearing armor.
An infant could see he's not telling the truth, but he's too scared to admit more wrongdoing.
I hope I could help your investigation. In my small way.
Does this mean you were in his apartment, admiring his colonial mug collection? Perhaps it would be interesting to tell him.
Sure do.
His eyes narrow slightly. He's wondering where this is going.
Mr. Everard? So you work for Everard Clare? Officer, please tell him we're good. No, tell him I'll make it up to him. What have I done? He'll send the muscle after me. Whatever it is, tell him I'm silent as the grave. I was probably talking too loud in the Whirling the other night. I won't do it again. If there's anything I can do to assist you, or the Union...
This scared him proper. He's positively melting from fear. Has to prop himself up with a lot of anger.
The weather vane has turned. He cannot be unturned.
He clearly liked his squirming. He may even have changed his mind about the whole door-opening operation.
Not many Sealites here, or anywhere, other than Sale. I meant no offense, truly. No problem at all. No. I help Morel with research sometimes. and I've learned some things along the way, but I don't usually go in.
There probably is a follow-up to this, but you can't think of any. Doesn't matter. Waste of time anyway. Gotta keep moving.
Here we go. Nice and easy. No way out, little guys. Not out of this jig.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. It looks like...
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officers. To what do I owe the pleasure?
That's sarcasm. He takes no pleasure from your appearance.
Oh no, it's all right. I'm just busy. What's this about? Hey, of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damn waterlock is broken.
The 881 is a raised motorway that separates Martinez from Jamrock. The labyrinth of streets underneath it makes it difficult to pass. Not like walking over a nice wood.
Oh, good. We should really be getting back. Gary could use a hot shower.
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gary! We can go soon! If you see Lena, tell her I won't.
Sir, your wife is waiting for you.
I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait. Then...
His hands are large and weather-worn, but also used to delicate. For all his passion, this man is diligent and patient. You could learn things from him.
No. No, of course not. Why? Well, he's been a little unenthusiastic about the trip. More so than usual. That's understandable. He just wants to get home and warm up. I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both. No. Very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemney, which is 4,002 are categorized as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing Yes, the Chateauquan forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct species of primate. We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves, more so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. In fact, it is 0.05%.
He has clearly done his math on this. There is no surprising him or swaying his opinion.
Real. I know you think one is a respectable profession, while the other is superstition. Everyone does. Indeed. My methods do not differ from other scientists. I simply draw upon a wider variety of evidence. And I have more... No, as I said, I have yet to catch a cryptid, although I have come close.
Interesting. Something for later, this close call.
It's not child's play, just because I have to traipse through the mud every so often. Everything from forgotten regional lore to newspaper accounts, like the one that brought us...
He's interested in things that people believe that scientists don't.
Most establishment scientists only care about reputation and remuneration, not real research. Yes? Well, they may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite cleverly. So, yes. Simple. Attracted by the locusts, the phasmid. At least, that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use any locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course. But we've...
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another. A meat-eating stick insect. Does it pretend to be the reeds as part of its ambush behavior?
Thank you for your opinion. We have also included plant material in the traps. They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis, using locusts as bait.
The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear that cryptozoology...
Yes. What? Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find. Good question. Being a phasmid of the order Phantasmodea, a ghost insect, it disguises itself as... And I suspect it may have also developed other specialised techniques to protect itself from predators. It's my hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defences that allow it to interfere with animal but I cannot describe how these defences work, much less how they evolve, without studying a live specimen. I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the Megaphasmodea zoensis, is about the size of a grown man's forearm. Typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology. Even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindian phasmid would be the apex of my, of any, cryptozoologist's career. But to very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on... Not yet. That's what makes it a cryptid.
Just out of curiosity, if there's no proof of its existence...
I know it's real.
It's clear that his obsession with the phasmid is driven by something...
By which I mean, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that the Insulindian phasmid is... Yes, the most recent sighting was by a couple of teenagers along the coast here. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, it's an unusual location for this species, but with all this, I have to resist the thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After all,
He means asexual reproduction. The females of the species don't need to mate to produce viable eggs. This makes it easier for a species with a small...
yes, the Insulindian phasmid is a very clever insect. That's why it's so damn difficult to catch. All right, what cryptids precisely? I usually discuss these things with...
We would have to discuss. He wants to say, but decides against it.
A willow person. It's a long story. One non-special...
Willow people? Not at all.
They're not people, really. Some argue they aren't really animals, as they seem to have evolved directly from trees. They're very, very thin, almost flat in fact, and can camouflage themselves easily, wrapping themselves around trees and blending in with the tree bark. In that way, they're not... Gary and I painted an entire grove's worth of trees in slow-drying paint. It was after waiting in hiding for hours, I saw a figure slip from one of the trees, a lavender shadow. I chased it with a net. Not very elegant. You can't be elegant in the field.
A lavender shadow.
I know you think we were snacking on funny mushrooms. It's easier to mock someone than to admit that the world... Furthermore, I'm not saying it was a confirmed sighting. I'm painfully aware of what goes into verifying such things. There is a serious possibility that I saw a squirrel or a trick of the light.
He makes it a real point here to sound falsifiable.
I see you've been talking about cryptids with Lena. The kind green ape is one of her. We travelled to South Safra to look for it once. Gary and I got stuck in a rainstorm, though. The search was fabulously unsuccessful, but the people were very nice.
What? South Safra? They're just on a different rung of the ladder, Morel.
Really? You kept complaining about how dirty everything is.
They're a nascent culture. I just didn't feel comfortable. And let's change the topic, okay?
Formerly the most dangerous, yes. But do you know the most dangerous living cryptid? The most dangerous cryptid is a carnivorous ruminant. No, yes. The dread moose subsists entirely on flesh. There's even been known to dig up fresh graves. Human remains have been found deep in the forest, torn apart, then trampled into the mulch by large, just like an ordinary Arden moose. You can't. That's what makes it so dreadful. And hard.
A moose that looks like any other moose. What's going on here? He's kidding, right?
The bodies found in the forest are just one piece of physical evidence. The recent surge in the moose population has hidden carnivores. The dread moose are effectively removing competition for both themselves and their evolution. Moose are already being hunted for sport. Can you imagine what would happen if they came to be viewed as predators? The carnivorous moose are a very young species. It makes sense that such a majestic animal with natural weapons, antlers, would come to rule the forest. The only one slaughterhouse at the outskirts of the woods in Vasa reported that the moose would just stare at the building as though they were waiting for something, its eyes bloodshot and full of cruelty. And that's not all. Some of the slaughterhouse apprentices went hiking by a nearby creek.
This isn't something unique. Various species of deer have been known to scavenge when plant food.
Anyway, there is more than enough evidence to justify a thorough search for the dread moose. Let's close the subject before it turns into an... That's impressive, I guess. But have you seen it with your own eyes? Of course you haven't. I haven't had a chance to travel to Coco North. No, and I likely never will. I fear this mindless barbarism may have wiped out the elusive creature entirely. Sightings of towering luminosities.
Yes, sightings of mirages are constant. A mirage is a constant phenomenon that people... It remains unclear what this has got to do with you seeing it, as he was inquiring before. He was...
Oh, everyone knows about that one, thanks to Professor Mijanu, although probably because her life ended as a result of her work in Gutler. No one remembers her contribution. A flightless cursor owl found in the Seminine Isles. Its long legs permit the Nongok to run faster than any other when it's not hunting its prey in this manner. The Ock hangs from tree branches. Like Mijanu liked extreme animals, you see. One of the few figures of the academic establishment I respect. Oh, decades ago. In the 30s. I didn't know her personally, of course. The chasm of academic pretension still stood before us, even though she had unusual courage. No offense, officer, but I'm not much of a pedagogue. I don't know what I would have done if Lena hadn't persuaded me to go back to field research. Me? Not a people person, unless you haven't noticed. And I don't make a good lecturer. My strength lies in field work, and by all means... By woman, you mean my wife, I assume? I will reach... My wife understands that just as well as anyone.
Come on, Morale. We've been soaking out here for days.
And leave the traps? Absolutely not. I won't let...
Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting.
She's seen it?
Yes. That's how we first came to know one another, in fact. But that's her story. Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian phasmid together. I can't abandon... No. The traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule.
He's dead set on this. I could go for some trap setting.
I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer. Yes, indeed. Both require a great deal of research. There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula, by the boathouses. Another we set in Land's End, to the northeast, It's behind a small sand dune there. On your way to the old... The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. A big thicket of reeds. You should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just said it. This one's more of a technicality, but still.
That seems like a lot. Do we really have time for this extracurricular venture? Is it?
Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed to...
He's not comfortable with the possibility that you'll claim the find, but he's lying about this even.
That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, I'll spray you with a pheromone. It's made of musk and research chemicals. The pheromone should attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's a wise choice.
I hope you're not buying this. He dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so it would be precious like holy.
It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop. Not that I expect you to understand self-financing one's own research.
Right, which means you two can pack up and go back to the whirling.
Finally, someone's talking sense.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now...
Hello again. Very
That shirt looks very uncomfortable on him. Look at the buttons, barely keeping that thing together. As if... No, he's scrawny. Try again. Yes, like a piece of ceramic armor, for example. One that makes a clicking sound when the plates meet each other, resembling pearl.
I knew you'd figure it out, officer. I'm sorry I didn't tell you at once. I was ashamed of what I did. And I didn't want you to know.
We're not detecting falsehood, sire. He's gearing up to admit the truth.
Gary! What's going on?
Later, Morale. I've got apologizing to do.
No, you've got explaining to do.
Everyone was picking those pieces off him, and I was watching them do it. And they'd scattered his clothes all over the yard. So I went there to take out the trash and started cleaning up. All those rags on the ground, him swinging up there, and I had a lapse of honor, sir. I thought, he's a only the cuirass was left. So I stripped it off him. It was early in the morning. No one saw me. I took it with me. It was a mistake. Had I known it'd give you guys trouble...
We're detecting sincere contrition here, sire. He's not trying to flatter.
It's okay. It was a loose end, and you are tying it up now.
I'm so fucking sorry I called you Yellow Man. Sealite officers commanded the suzerain's navy.
They were thoroughly conservative men, he realizes suddenly.
Because I was weak. I should have told you the moment I saw you.
The hell, Gary? You in trouble?
I'll explain later. I always thought it was the Union, but I sure as hell won't go around saying that anymore. You have my word.
This is all he knows. He sighs again, hangs his head, and unbuttons his shirt fully. A cuirass that matches the dead man's boots comes into view. Soon it is, but so light to hold, like a bag of cotton.
Yes, absolutely. I will never do anything like this again. I won't mess with Mr. Clare either. You have my word.
We'll be on our way soon. Thank you again for lend... Hell no. I had no idea. And I'm still cross with him, to be honest. It's not like him. He's got his quirks, but dishonesty, disloyalty.
Thanks.
There's a trap in the reeds at your feet. Looks like the same one you saw Morel's behind you. The ruins of a residential building loom over the reeds. They whisper amongst themselves. Confident locusts are crawling around in the trap, confused but uneaten. You see
Big surprise. Anyway, 1 down, 3 to go. No, you weren't.
a scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall.
Correct. The density of the bullet holes is unusual. Meaning, this is a lot of bullet holes. Looks like fully automatic rifle fire. Something you don't see these days.
The lieutenant also nods. It is quite a scene. The two of you standing next to the broken wall of an abandoned. The lieutenant is nodding so hard it looks like his head is a. The lieutenant matches your nodding pace. He's a true. The nodding's reaching critical mass. You can't take this much longer, Captain. A small bead of sweat runs down the side of the lieutenant's face as the lieutenant takes out her handkerchief and softly taps the sweat off his temple. Abort! Abort! No. Shit!
Busted the neck, did you? Glad I stopped when I did. My neck was really starting to hurt. Don't worry, little man. Now we
A row of ghostly shades stand facing the wall. There are many of them. A dozen at least. Their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded 10 meters away. Other shades are lined up in an orderly manner. Automatic rifles primed. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad. Snowflakes fall on the wooden planks and the surrounding sand dunes. A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed. The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where a host of men, probably in everyday clothes, ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, they stand, facing the wall. It's impossible to discern any detail. 7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air.
I don't know. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any of the parties involved in the revolution. Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start of the Civil War. Or it could even have been the employees of the failed R&D center down the coast, as their building was taken over by the...
Or maybe...
Yeah, it's very unlikely the coalition forces were the ones who died here. To be honest, if a coalition member was anyone in this situation, it was a commandant.
A cold sea wind blows away the figures. This is the trap Morel just set. Checking it over, he said, is the reeds by the abandoned campsite sway and tremble. It's good the cryptozoologists left. This isn't a very cozy. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. This trap is also full of panicked locusts. No sign of...
Another empty trap. Yep, the next one has a crab trapped in it. These are just crab traps, you do realize.
You see, a once bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years. A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now, only a shadow of peeled letters remains.
Looks like tomorrow never came.
And Mikhail noticed the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with. You officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez? I'm Tran Hailostam. You must be Kim Kituragi, right? I was just telling my son about this building. Not a lot of people realize the historic significance here. Very
Nice to meet you.
Yes, hypertext, young carp, and the collection of cultural hyperlinks. Oh yes, so Mikhail. They had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. That was 49 years ago. No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail, say hi to the officers. Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into Worms.
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many radio.
But I assume you're not here for giant worms when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
Wow, get a load of this guy. He really enjoys his trivia. The Orbis programming language was named after its inventor, Victor Orbis, a cybernetician from...
Aha! But it's not just any empty old building. What not a lot of people know is, this used to be the R&D department of Felt Electrical. And Felt, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once a top dog in the turn-of-the-century cyber...
It looks old and weathered, with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed roof.
That's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remain. They started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. But Feld had an ace up their sleeve. Or should I say, they were developing an ace up their sleeve? I'm mixing my metaphors here. It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed prototypes for a tape computer. An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons, portable enough to be a take-it-home solution. Revolutionizing business machines, possibly even bring them to the average consumer, which is a feat of engineering even today's giants, Rehm, ICN and ZAM, haven't achieved yet. Indeed. What?
The revolution!
Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their assets and expropriated those very advanced prototypes, possibly from this very building. All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for their middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D. Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed in the war.
A pleasure wheel?
Yes, to lure in their star engineers. This part of Martinez was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to become a global center for innovation in cybernetics. Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now, if you were to ask about tape computers...
Wait, is he saying that we should just bypass the excesses of the revolution?
Tape computers. They used them for military communications, but also to write and send out press releases, the most notorious example being Le Décret de Mars. What's the Mars Decree? I mean the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the newly created Commune of
A short-lived legislative foundation for...
It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. A singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to River Shawl on her political concept album, Bon Baiser dans ce Lind. You should read it. Every local library in River... I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. Tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention.
The kid takes a peek at the green and silver worm on the cover of the book, already forgetting about this part of the discussion.
Actually, no one knows. No one even knows what a computer made entirely of tape would look like. But word has it, they were very elegant, exquisite, alien-looking tone of the...
Buckle up.
10 years ago, I did a little freelancing, I guess you could say. I was a special consultant for an exhibition at the Wompty Dumpty Dum Center in Vredefort, Oranje. It raised the same questions, and we had lengthy discussions with Paul Ockerman, who was head curator at the time.
Wait, did he just say Wompty Dumpty Dum Center? What the hell is a Wompty Dumpty Dum Center? And who the hell are Keith and Guy Joost?
The Wompty Dumpty Dum Center for Contemporary Arts. The exhibition itself drew on Lagerman's notion of memory, and so there were some parallels. That's why the head curator, Paul Ockerman, chose to... In fact, I'm not. The Wompty Dumpty Dum Center is a place you can visit if you're ever in Vredefort and are ever in the market for an exhibition space / contemporary art research. But perhaps I should return to the tape computers. As I was saying, the device itself was very elegant, fragile even. One could write directly on the tape using a special chemical solution. The machine would then analyze the handwriting before...
Made of black film and folding tape structures.
Very, very cool. Though I understand the socio-economic causes of the revolution, it pains me to imagine the revolutionaries setting fire to this precious device. But so they did. Yes, the official name of the prototype. Some sources report it as the Felt Playback Experience. Who knows? Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they didn't want the technology to end up in the wrong hands. Either way, they're all gone now. All 3 versions of the prototype. Nothing but debris and ashes remain inside that building. But of course, what else? I do have some money, yes, but that's not what's really important here.
No, I mean, come on. You need the money. If it's not a thing, he can give you some.
Oh no, I don't have it on me, officer. I was talking in more general terms. I'm just spending time with my kid here, showing him around the lesser-known parts of our hometown. It wouldn't be wise to carry huge amounts of cash on such...
Not that he would have to worry about being robbed. He looks surprisingly buff. Does he work out?
I do some Lomantang stick fighting now and then.
Lo Mantang stick fighting is a form of martial arts originating from the island of Lo Mantang. It uses slender wooden sticks.
Actually, a great many cultures have their own version of stick fighting, such as the sacred Mabolo tradition of the Harli people. The name deriving from the butterfruit tree traditionally used for crafting the long, slender sticks.
You doze off as he paints you a comprehensive picture of the history of stick fighting among men. Man, he's good at speaking. People must love it.
But anyway, I'm boring you with details again. You were saying? Lomantang stick fighting is a little like a Berolidan addiction. I've been practicing it for nearly 20 years now, so you could say that my doses have grown a little peculiar.
Dad's fighting with sticks every night after dinner for 4 hours. He has a special room for that. And
That's right, Mikhail. It also has a meditative quality. Helps to clear my head. But anyway, No, thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation.
Pick your brain. If anything, this was rather one-sided. He... Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. The cloth, if you can still call it that, makes a soft crunching sound as you thrust. It's streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests...
Please tell me you're not taking that with you. It's a guano-encrusted jacket, and you're already carrying around enough as it is.
The smell. It's awful and familiar. It doesn't help. You can still smell it. Don't you recognize it? That hideous pungency. That faintly cloying sweetness. Something cold wakes in the pit of your stomach. Fear. The lieutenant has already brought a
Eyes up, detective. Some...
A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of spirit. Half of his body has slipped between the cracked boardwalk, starting with the right leg. The fall has left him broke. The smell is not as bad as a 2-week-old corpse, but...
Hold on. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is has been dead for 2 days. No longer. We need to investigate.
Calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another... He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on it. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into two. His...
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. When damp, these boards are really slippery. Even a sober man could lose their balance here. His expression is dull, like the sea behind him. Drops of water shining on his mustache. His height, 170 to 175 centimeters. Curly hair. There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty... Be very, very careful where you step here. A dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head. An open...
I don't see any other major wounds, do you? Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bench.
The boards screech under the weight of the T500 ceramic sabatons. It's a good thing they're so light, because it's hard to determine whether it was the... You see waves churning below. Something cracks beneath your... He could have easily disappeared into the sea through that hole, and you would have never found him. A .75 liter Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's
Tear all around us.
Grabowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape. The blackness of death. Stench.
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario, even the chewing gum. It's always the same.
The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind as you
Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here. But that's just a lazy assumption. What do you think? We do know that he was married. But you're right. Let's not run ahead. For now, all we know is that he's an unidentified middle-aged man found dead on the death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. They'll seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition officials. I doubt that they have. Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from a nearby place, maybe in the box. Oh yes. Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, but I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure. No, I don't see anything that points in that direction. For now, let's treat this case as a simple, albeit sad, act. It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure. Although from where I stand, I can see two options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the... A field autopsy isn't necessary if the cause of death doesn't appear to be criminal. I'd say we should just write down head trauma in the autopsy report and leave it at that. It would save us at least 2 hours of... Maybe, but we don't really have much time or resources to spare. The guys at processing will take care of the rest. Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can call the station from my kinema. Let them know we are taking the case.
There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a crumpled kebab wrapper. 2 empty bottles of Tallulah vodka and a can of black. But no, there's more in there. Livis strawberry liquor, plus some Pilsner bottles too.
A tragedy.
Whoever tossed it here was a heavy smoker. The brand name reads Red Astra is the black market version of Astra cigarettes. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. It's no older than a day or two. No moldy. It's hard to concentrate in the smell. The sea air brings some relief. The library card is folded into 2 and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 005-0255.
Good. We should give them a call from my kinema. See if we can learn anything about Billy Méjean.
Good idea. There was plenty of information here to go by. As you hold it in your hands, it makes an uncomfortable crunching sound. It's a sordid, filthy tale, not for the weak. Are you sure you can stomach it? It occurs to you that you're not even holding the jacket itself. It smells like a dead sea creature, tangled in grey strands of seaweed. It must have spent quite some time in the water. Why? Why did you think about it? Look at your hands. They're covered in mud. Now you're just flicking that shit everywhere. This is a disaster. You'll never get the smell out.
Don't call
The noxious odor emanating from the drunken man is
Don't you call her? Yeah! Don't call Abigail! Uh-huh. Abigail. Don't you fucking...
You're not going to get anything out of this guy. He's too drunk.
Don't you fucking call her! Hear me? Abigail?
He snorts and beckons you to lean in closer. He waves his hand as if shooing you away.
Don't call Abigail!
There's no use in yelling at drunks. He's barely holding it together.
The drunk man starts coughing a really disgusting. The man hiccups, then mumbles.
Don't call.
There was little chance he'd be a reliable witness anyway.
Hey, Tequila! Good to see you. How's business? How's the whole reality? So what's happening? Yeah, Tequila Sunset. How are the,
He says it like it's obviously your name. Like you call someone Billy Brunel or leader of the 4th Street gang.
It's good to hear that you're on top of things. Talking about used to, did you know that I used to be a real mover and shaker? Sadly, things aren't going that well in Idiot Doom Spiral Land. Haven't found those keys yet, haven't won that great piece of ass back.
Idiot Doom Spiral, huh? This is bound to be a good, high-concept conversation. At last.
We are saving the world.
Please! Please don't call.
Okay, we're drinking. We're drinking alcohol. That's what we're doing. I tried to save the world once, so now it's a pirate's life for me. What's it about? Maybe you've heard. I used to be a very successful businessman. I've signed more than a few lease forms or whatever the fuck they were. All right. Hey, Abs. Hey, Abs. Abs.
The man mumbles incoherently.
Hey. Goddamn Abigail is here. Wake up. Wake up. I'll be damned.
Sure, I can fucking help. You need a signature. I got you a signature.
Not exactly an expert forgery. Don't call Abigail. Would have signed something more like, don't call her.
Fucking cops, man, always hassling the poor folk. You know what? I'm keeping a pen and that's the end.
No, that was my favorite thing of all the things you have. My favorite is the gun he lost.
Hey, guys. We're heroes.
About fucking time, man. I've done my duty.
The incapacitated drunk lay there snoring like an ancient.
Thank you for your services, gentlemen. Should we go and mail these? I think I saw a mailbox on the plaza.
Okay, what's on your mind? It's you. You're Tequila Sunset. We've met before. Don't you remember?
No, you sure don't.
Aha. Do you want to know how tequila... Let me take a sip to moisten up my chords. Tequila Sunset rolled into Martinez last Friday, Hey, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. This is your story. Stop interrupting. You got here on Friday to solve a case, hoping to be the early bird who gets the worm. And by the worm, I mean the buzz. Because as far as I know, all you did was get pissed. Word on the street is you went around the local hostel telling people that you're a police officer, and that it would be really fucked up if you shot yourself in the head, right?
It is. The lieutenant's brow is furrowed. He's listening as casually as he...
It was a late Saturday night when we, the Union of Moribund Alcoholics, were getting our drink on. Nothing remarkable about this, we get our drink on 24/7. One moment we hear the sound of a motor carriage revving up somewhere on the plaza.
Do you remember the sound of wood cracking? The bill?
Naturally, loud noises pique the interest of anybody owning a pair of ears. That's just the reality we're in. Anyway, there was a brief silence. A gasp of silence, if you will, followed by a real commotion. Sounded like someone jumped the canal. We grabbed our brewskis and rushed to the jetty. Never underestimate this. What we saw was a sight to behold. A beat-up police carriage containing you. Right, the time hath come. So, naturally, being the curious cat I am, I asked what time hath... The time hath come for tequila sunset! The end of all things! After which, your reality contracted. You jammed the pedal, plowed right off the jetty.
The muscles in your right leg tense up.
We ran towards the ice, whilst you crawled your way out, miraculously unhurt, covered in sea. When we finally got there, you were sitting on the beach crying. You said that your badge and uniform were in the car. It was too late to get... Recognizing a brother in need, we offered our condolences and invited you to party with us. We asked about the whole tequila sunset thing, and you told us it was your name now and insisted that we all call you that from then on. No, that's just what your mother called you. Your real name is Tequila Sun Hours. It was an all-night drink-a-thon. Then, at some point, I think it was Sunday morning, you got how they're beautiful and also whores and so on. How one of them fucked you real bad. After a short while, you crossed the event horizon.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Yeah, I bet Tequila's a fucking legend around the precinct. You must be...
If you only knew.
You were pretty vague about it, but you kept saying you got fucked real hard.
No one's fucked me. I do the fucking around here.
Abigail!
It seemed pretty painful, to be honest with you. If I had to guess, I'd say you're still beside your gun and your badge. You said something about your hope or heart. In retrospect, I guess you lost your motor carriage too? You told us that they were a bunch of fucking losers whose main interest was cramping your... No specifics, though. It was more about you that night. You were the star of the show. Yeah, you said it was no biggie and that you'd solve it in no time. And that you didn't need anyone to do it. You're doing it solo now.
A lot of cops go solo and hermit once they reach that level of alcoholism.
Yeah, you seemed really mad about immigrants for some reason. I'd rather not get into the details. It was pretty low concept. You kept calling yourself a goddamn superstar who'd cleared 500...
As you've already determined, the actual number is 216.
No thanks to the squares at the precinct, as you put it. It's a hard thing for a man to confront his past. That's why I avoid mine at all costs. You too, Tequila Sunset.
The door has seen better days. The layer of paint has started to peel off due to the salt and wind from the sea.
I'll wait outside to give you some time and privacy to check out your new living arrangements. After we are done with the day, I'll still be staying in the whirling in rags for the night.
The key turns with a satisfying click. You can enter the shack now.